Hi, friends. Welcome to this latest episode of the Nationalist View. We have with us a very special guest, Mr. Qambar Baloch is joining us from London, UK. Qambar Saab, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much, Arunji.
Mr. Qambar Baloch is the General Secretary of Baloch Advocacy and Study Center, a prominent think tank which works on the issue of Balochistan. And we are going to talk about a recent report which has come out regarding human rights violations in Balochistan. So, the report titled Staged Press Conferences and Confessional Narratives in Balochistan. Mr. Qambar Baloch, I just wanted to ask you, this report argues that enforced disappearances are increasingly being followed by the televised confessions and media trials. What does it basically actually mean if you can decode this for our common viewer that what is happening in Balochistan, these enforced disappearances, and what is this televised confessions, and how widespread has this pattern become in Balochistan today?
Right. Mr. Arun, the report that you just referred to is produced by the Baloch Ekjati Committee. First of all, we should know that Baloch Ekjati Committee is one of the most credible and leading human rights movement in Balochistan today. They have documented multiple cases of coerced and televised confessions from 2023 to 2026, which shows that this pattern has become more systematic and widespread, where activists associated with the Baloch Ekjati Committee or those supporting the Baloch Ekjati Committee are being humiliated and forced to confess to crimes before trial. And we believe that this is one of the tactics of the authorities to discourage the engagement or involvement of the Baloch, larger Baloch population into this Baloch Ekjati Committee or the human rights movement. One would see such forced confessions in 2023 when the Pakistani military was about to start its crackdown on the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which somehow helped it achieve some of its tangible goals. Now they are motivated to start this practice in Balochistan, which is a new phenomena in the context of enforced disappearances.
No, this report also has documented cases such as Mahal Baloch, Farzana Zeri, Rahima Baloch, and Nisa Baloch, where in all these cases, these women were, portrayed as militants, but it was done after long periods of, incommunicado detention. Like they were detained for a long time and then suddenly they were declared militants. Now, why do you think, Baloch women activists are being specifically targeted by the Pakistani authorities?
Right. So it is safe to say that the Baloch women are actually the pioneers of the human rights movement in Balochistan. In 2009, when the phenomena of enforced disappearances and the subsequent extrajudicial killing of the victims of enforced disappearances became more frequent and widespread in Balochistan. Many of the activists, fearing for their lives, fled to different countries to seek refuge, and some succumbed to that pressure and abandoned the struggle. The overall political space was suffocated. And that is when the role of these courageous women started, appearing in the region's political arena. These courageous women were actually directly affected by the practice of enforced disappearances. Either one of or more of their family members were abducted and killed by the Pakistani authorities. These women started challenging the state's human rights abuses in Balochistan. And not only they revived the political space, but also reorganized the dispersed strength of the Baloch population in what we today know as one of the most popular and well-organized human rights movement in Balochistan, the Baloch Executive Committee. So this extraordinary skills and efforts of the Baloch women does make them a target of the Pakistani authorities.
This report has also, repeated claims have been made in this report that peaceful activism and the activities of the Balochistan Security Committee are being conflated with terrorism by the Pakistani authorities. Now, in your view, this a part of the larger strategy of Pakistani authorities to delegitimize the Baloch movement internationally?
Right. The Pakistani authorities have never accepted or given legitimacy to the genuine or organic struggle of the Baloch people. And they have been taking different measures to contain it one way or the other. And again, it is not the first time when intimidated by the growing popularity of a Baloch organization, the authorities have started branding them as the front organization or recruiters of Baloch insurgent groups. In the year 2006, 7 or 8, and there was this student organization, Baloch Students Organization Azad, which was at the forefront of the political mobilization of the Baloch youth and students. And it was enjoying a great and popular support base. So the authorities then banned the BSO organization in 2012 and started. It had already started a crackdown against their leaders, but then some with these legal restrictions, they contained their public activism. And I believe the authorities are doing the same to the Baloch Executive Committee, fearing their popularity and the way they have encouraged the victims, their family members, and the common people to speak up against state atrocities.
Now, according to this report, many of the televised confessions about which we talked earlier, so they were actually conducted without transparent legal proceedings. There was no judicial oversight, or the publicly presented evidence, like the evidence was not presented publicly. So all the legal parameters which you are supposed to follow in a judicial process, so they have not been followed in the case of these televised confessions. So if that is true, so what does this reveal about the state of due process and civil liberties in Pakistan, especially in context of, especially when it comes to Balochistan?
Hmm. So we are talking about a country that has a reputation for its terrible domestic human rights record and its raw conduct in the region as well as at the international arena. When you see a country that even does not bother about its international image and acts in constant disregard of international laws, norms, and customs, it becomes easier to imagine the way it would be treating its own citizens. When it comes to Balochistan, the Pakistani authorities, particularly the Pakistani military and their auxiliary organizations, they have this confidence that they are untouchable and they are above the law, and which is true in the face of severely compromised judicial system in Pakistan. But what is disturbing is that the Pakistani authorities or many elements within the Pakistani security forces believe that they are beyond external accountability too. And I think this confidence comes from this belief that they think that they are too important for the Western world, and as long as they continue to serve their interest, they will remain unaccountable for their crimes in Balochistan.
This report has also highlighted, allegations that family members of the activists, the Baloch activists, are pressured or detained in order to force public loyalty statements against BYC. So how deeply has this whole phenomena affected Baloch society psychologically and socially?
We are talking about those people or those families who are already bearing the brunt of the state oppression in the shape of enforced disappearances or the extrajudicial killing of one of their members. And the Baloch Ekjati Committee is, we have to understand that is an organization of these family members of the victims of enforced disappearances. And they have found hope in the struggle of the BYC. If since they have exhausted all the domestic remedies, but they still hope that the international community would hear their plea and help them face find justice or find the fate of their loved ones. Now, these families, these poor families, are facing another pressure by the authorities. As you were referring about of the report of the BYC, one such case is of Abira Zahir. Now imagine his father has been abducted by the Pakistani authorities with no information or knowledge of his whereabouts. And after years of being abducted, one of his sons, I think Zishan Zahir, a teenager or a young boy, comes at the front and demands justice for his father. He's subjected to enforced disappearance, and eventually his dead body is thrown in a thrown in Balochistan. Now, this his sister and the daughter of the missing Zahir Baloch is being forced to confess loyalty to the Pakistani state and to disassociate herself from the Baloch Jati Committee. So you can imagine the message it conveys to the other family members of the victims of Pakistan's atrocities.
This report has also given a call for international organizations like United Nations, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International to intervene because the situation is so bad in Balochistan to protect the human rights. Now, but so far, do you believe the international community has paid adequate attention to the human rights situation in Balochistan? And if that has not happened, what exactly is the reason behind that?
Well, um, we do see time and again, uh, sometimes, unfortunately, a passing reference of the human rights situation in Balochistan in the human rights reports of all these organizations that you just mentioned. And at times, even if they talk about a particular single case, is when they are provided with the evidence and when such cases are reported to these organizations. I mean, according to the mandate of those organizations and what the people think and believe and hope is that these organizations would just take a step forward and try to investigate these the human rights atrocities in Balochistan. And we have not seen any meaningful intervention or calls from the international community pressing Pakistan to stop its crimes in Balochistan. And again, I believe the reason is because somehow Pakistan still enjoys support from its patrons in the West that somehow shield Pakistan from international accountability from the United Nations and the other human rights organizations. But that must change. Yeah.
Yeah, that must change. You're right. And so now we come to the second last question. Now, one of the report's central arguments is that media narratives are being shaped to portray dissent as extremism. Now, how important has information warfare and media framing become, especially in context of the broader conflict now, surrounding Balochistan?
So when we talk about Balochistan, we have to understand that it is the Pakistani military that calls the shot, and it has multiple of its interest or stakes involved in Balochistan, from political, economic, and even psychological interest. For the psychological interests, the Pakistani military, they feel like they have the godlike powers. They can abduct anyone and they can condemn anyone to death without anyone questioning about it. And Baloch, they have, for this reason, installed these minions in the legislative bodies in the Balochistan Assembly, and they are even fueling a lot of money into these so-called media organizations or media outlets that are active on social media. The prime purpose of those organizations is to blur the line between peaceful and non-violent dissent and the armed resistance movement. That is to because Pakistani authorities fear the peaceful political activism the most, as these kind of activism is the one that exposes Pakistan and its criminal policies to the outside world, and that is what they don't want. And these media outlets, as well as those installed in the Balochistan Assembly, are there to protect Pakistan military's larger interest in Balochistan, as Balochistan is also the uh, route to $1 billion of drug trade. So there is a parallel illicit economy that the military has created in Balochistan over the years, and these media outlets and the those in the Balochistan Assembly are there to protect and benefit from armies those interests.
So my last question is that this report has concluded that the because of the tactics adopted by the Pakistani authorities and the Pakistani military, the democratic space has shrunk quite a lot in Pakistan, and the scope for peaceful resistance is now becoming increasingly limited. Peaceful resistance is becoming increasingly difficult. So in this situation, what do you believe is the future of Baloch freedom movement as well as the Baloch human rights movement?
The Baloch are a very resilient people. I mean, it's not the first time that they are facing state or the state-sponsored atrocities. They have not abandoned their struggle or the call for the right to self-determination, and it does not appear to be. Does not appear that they will do so in the future. So they will revive the political space, they will reorganize, and they will continue their struggle, but it will be more difficult without any external support for the Baloch. And this is the reason the Baloch are not only limiting their, activism domestically, but they are also trying their best to engage with the international community, the policymakers, the academics, to involve them or engage them in at least constructive dialogue to mitigate the human rights situation in Balochistan. And I think it is a firm belief of the Baloch that they or their existence predates Pakistan's existence as a whole, and they will not give in or give up the 1,000 years of their existence before a tyrant state. And the Baloch will overcome these difficulties.
Thank you, Qambar Baloch, for decoding this report and sharing your perspective on this issue. We continue to track the developments in Balochistan, though Pakistan authorities have imposed heavy censorship there, and only selective media coverage is coming out from there. But with the help of our network and sources, and also with commentators like Mr. Qambar Baloch, we are able to put things in the right perspective. We hope to host Mr. Qambar Baloch back again on the show very soon. And thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll be back soon with another conversation. Thank you, Mr. Baloch, for taking time out from your busy schedule and sharing your thoughts and perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arunji, for the opportunity.